December, Christmas drew near, but a chill in the air brought more than just cheer. The moonlight glistened on the snow so white, yet shadows whispered secrets through the night. Jingle bells rang out in ghostly tones as icy winds rattled windows and bones. Under the tree, not presents but fears, and the silent scream of forgotten years. Candles flicker with an eerie glow as footsteps echoed in the falling snow. Beware the laughter and the cries of glee, for on this dark night, nothing's as it seems to be. Santa's sleigh is lost in the fog, and the reindeer trembled at the howling of the dog. On the 13th of December, beware the night, for Christmas this year brings a spine-chilling fright.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whoever you are, what if any you are, and I hope you liked my Friday the 13th rendition of my intro, because Jamie said, "Oh, you know, it's Friday the 13th, you should make a special intro." I said, "Jamie, I need sleep." She said, so I made a special Friday the 13th intro. That intro was too long. Temper for life. It's Friday. It's time to relax. But everyone, welcome to 12 Creators for Christmas, my Get to Know Someone new stream. And tonight, I am lucky enough that we have a new friend, a fairly new streamer, but I am sure she will be just what you're looking for. So remember, go give a little subscribey poo. Hello, Alexas.
Hi, how you doing?
I am doing fine, and I know you like Friday the 13th movies.
I do, and I appreciated that intro very much. That was very up my speed. I was like, oh my gosh, who did like the graphics and everything and all the music?
Well, Suno and Canva.
That was it. Gotta love Canva. I use it every day in my day job, so.
Yeah, and it's they have a lot of stuff you can put in your video, so it's great, and it takes no time to put together. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Oh, it was really, really hard, and it took me a long time.
Blood, sweat, and tears, and all that. Hi.
Yeah. But the other streams I've started with the same question, so let me do this again. Why YouTube?
Why YouTube? I just feel like it's the platform to like that's the easiest. I grew up like a lot of people I know too when YouTube was first in its conception. I remember all like those funny, crazy YouTubes, all the SpongeBob spoofs and all of that. And when I started getting into true crime more, I just figured this would be the easiest platform for me to do it. So
that's what everyone says, but it was more meant to why did you choose to do YouTube? Because I did it because I used to talk politics with my dad, and he died, and then there was an election, so I started talking politics on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's kind of like my same answer too, is my partner and a lot of my friends and my family, none of them are really interested in like news or politics or true crime, and I was just kind of tired of talking to myself and my cat about it. So it was like, hey, maybe I can find a community out there and just have thoughtful discussions about the things that are important to me. And that kind of all stirred up over the last several months. And I didn't really realize it would take off from there. And it kind of did. And I'm so happy it did because I get to meet cool people like you.
Well, meet cool people and me.
And you, yes.
Yeah, but you primarily been you've been heavy on the Karen Reed. Not to make it into a Karen Reed stream, but what do you think about Mr. 75K?
So it's funny because I just got up to that part where you asked Mazza Media the other day about that. So it's funny because everybody talks about how impressive he is, and I'm sure he's a fine attorney. I don't know enough about him, and I haven't really seen him in action enough to be like wowed by him. That being said, the hearing yesterday that took place, I felt like it was very misdirected. I know a lot of it was going off of what was in the motion that he had filed, but I feel like the questions were kind of all over the place. Also, just kind of ridiculous because we all know she's qualified. She's more than qualified to testify. She testified in the first trial. If you wanted to go in terms of is she qualified to be to testify as an expert in regards to motor vehicle and pedestrian accidents, that's, I guess, a little bit more fair game in my opinion, just because she didn't testify to that in the first trial. So I could kind of understand that a little bit more. And I know he was kind of cut off at the end too. He only had about 40 minutes or so where he was cross-examining her, and that's going to pick up again next month. But I don't know. I'm not that impressed. And I also feel like the prosecution too is kind of disjointed. Like they're not a team. You know, he got started, I think, after they came back from a break, and Lally and Miss McLaughlin weren't even back in the courtroom. And he was like, no, let's just get started. And it's like,
Yeah.
aren't you guys a team? Aren't you playing for the same team here? And it's just clear that there's some disjointment there. And it's fine during pretrial, but how is that going to come across when you actually are in front of a jury? Is that going to read the same?
Yeah, and I think one of the big problems is you have Lally sitting there like a scorned wife who got thrown
Exactly.
out, and he has to be with the new husband,
Yep.
and he's just sitting there, and you can just see him thinking about the next cigarette he's going to go out and smoke.
Oh, yeah.
And
He was definitely jonesing for something.
yeah, and what I didn't like about him was he constantly misstated her answers. I really didn't
Yes.
like that part. Oh, so
Yes.
you are an orthopedic specialist? No, I'm a trauma orthopedic. I've done that. So you're a specialist. Did you take a specialist? No, that's not what it's. And I wished for an objection, but I'm just going to do this and say thank you so much, Forrest Nelson, for gifting 5 memberships to Mike, Lynn Garvey, Out and About, Christy G, and Jenny Wilson. And sadly, I know it's your first stream, but Zach is here. Do you prefer beach or forest frolicking?
Beach or forest frolicking? I do like the woods and camping a lot, but I am from Long Island, New York, where it is very beach heavy. So I kind of grew up with the beach. So I don't know, it kind of depends. And now I live in a city, so I'm not really close to the beach. So I'm going to go with beach just because it's not as accessible as it once was.
That's the worst part of getting on a new channel. You probably didn't watch the trial with the cult woman who unalived her baby.
Oh gosh, no. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
welcome to True Crime, where you will learn all the depravities of humanity.
I know,
You
it's just so disturbing too. But yeah, please, I want to hear.
Well, she had a guy giving testimony who knew them. He was one of those people who he started to talk with the cult leader because the cult leader knew something about trusts, because how you could cheat the government so you didn't have to pay taxes. So they
Right.
started talking. And he then went down to them where he lived in a van in their driveway. And it's some of the most weird testimony ever, because this cult leader had a really good way of handling women, because you know women. So every
Yeah.
morning he spent an hour talking about all their problems. Women have a lot of problems. And then they should just go frolicking on the beach for the rest of the day.
And I just like fell right into that trap. So yeah, I guess I would fall prey to that cult, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that was. Oh, and you should drink your own urine. That's very important. There's
Oh,
books
yeah.
written about it, and you
Tons of
should take.
protein.
Yeah, but it's healthy. It clears all ailments. He had so many wonderful things to say. He was with a girl. He was trying to talk into the polyamorous lifestyle. She
Okay.
wasn't into it, but she was getting around to it.
So she
It's
was, like,
funny.
thinking about it, and then but she wasn't, like, fully she was just,
Yeah.
like, fully into him and, like, wanted to please him because he was the cult leader.
No. This was the guy in the van. He brought his
Oh,
own
okay. Oh,
girlfriend
okay.
down, and he wanted to have a cult of women himself because women need a man to think for them.
Yeah,
So,
obviously, I mean, how
so,
else would we survive?
exactly. Zach, don't scare her away. She just got here. Thank you, Dave.
No, I invite that, please. I love learning more about these, like, bizarro cases. What case was that?
It was. Oh, I can't remember. It was a. It was a. The what was the cult name? She had a weird last name, but uh,
I'm sure if I
it's
look up
someone in
beach or forest frolicking, I'll probably find it.
yeah.
Although I
Hey,
don't know what else I'll
Christine.
find, so maybe I won't Google that.
It's the Chloe Driver case. Thank you so
Got
much.
it. Okay. Yeah, and didn't she just get sentenced too?
Yeah, she
Got
got
it. Okay.
sentenced yesterday or today, I think.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the best part of yesterday's hearing, Hanky Panky Brennan hands Dr. Russell a book about dog bites, and Dr. Russell skips right to the orthopedist and says, "None of these people are doctors." No, she said, "I don't know any I don't know if any of these people are doctors or their qualifications." I
Yeah.
look, I looked up the book. I don't know if you did that.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people posting about it on Twitter. It has, like, I think only 33 people reviewed it on Amazon, and I'm like, "That's very impressive. Impressive reading."
Oh, so you just wrote some papers? I have a book
Yeah.
by a guy who is a PhD in dog behaviorism.
And then I don't know if you caught this too, he dropped it in front of Eliza Little before he continued cross-examining, like, after everybody erupted into laughter because it was just so ridiculous. He, like, drops it in front of her and then continues, like, onto a completely different question. I was like, "What is actually happening?" That was my favorite moment, I think, from yesterday.
With hearing her, Dr. Russell's impressive testimony and her CV, I bet you she read that book on the flight home to California and probably found 40 mistakes in it already.
Oh, yeah, she's probably like, "If I edited this book."
Yeah. Yes, Christine, thank you for being here for 13 months. It's been a long journey. It's nice to see people hanging out here.
Yeah.
Anyone can publish a book. See Courthouse Becky from the murder trial. Yeah. And you don't have to write anything true in it because
No.
you can just make it up and it'll be wonderful. People will love it if you just give it
Oh,
the
yeah.
right topic. But
Yeah, well, even, I don't know if you caught the news today about the Duke lacrosse team,
oh
and,
yeah, that Crystal.
Crystal Magnum, I think is her name, and she came out with a book, I think, like, 10 years ago, and she continued to lie about the allegations, essentially, and now, 10 years later from that, she's like, "Oh, I made it all up," and I'm like, "But you already kinda reaped the benefits by publishing your own tell-all book, so."
Yeah, and now she's in prison for unaliving someone or something. And
Yeah, second degree of, like, her ex-boyfriend, and, I think she had a previous, like, assault, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness."
yes, Doink the Clown's mom, Wendy Murphy, was very famous for supporting that woman because she never met anyone who came with fake rape grape, can't say rape on YouTube, grape
Whoops.
allegations. Well, it's not as bad as it was earlier, but no, she never met anyone who claimed to be raped and hadn't been it. And I loved it. She was in full court pressure today on Twit and saying, "Well, they suppressed all the evidence. They paid her 2 million to shut up."
It's
Yeah,
like,
don't tell.
girl, I mean, honestly, silence is sometimes just better. Just don't say anything at all. I mean, even though the world wants to know, "Where you been at, Wendy?" Like
Was just gonna say Wacky Wendy. Yeah,
Mhm.
she did it. Yeah. Is she coming up for parole? I wonder if she has found religion. No, is she 5 year into a 17-year stint or something like that?
I think it's a little longer she's been in. I think she was sentenced to, like, 15 or 18 years, so she's got probably, like, another 5 to 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if the 2/3 rule
Mhm.
might be so it's coming up, but still, I don't know what made her come out now, at- but again, it's so harmful that all of these boys will forever be the Duke Lacrosse boys,
Yeah.
and it's I've actually gotten someone who wrote me today if I would take out a part of a stream because they appeared in it as a witness, and I said yes, sure, no problem, because
Wow.
they don't need to come back and their name will not that I have their name or anything, but still, if someone started looking for that case and saw them, it's so when they reached out, of course I'll take it out because yeah, it can be a black mark on you forever, and it's just it must be hard sometimes where because for us it's kind of an entertainment and we sit and crack jokes a lot on my channel. I'm
Yeah.
not a lawyer, so I just make fun of it. um
Me too.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, should you do you have a legal background or why true crime?
No, no, I don't have any legal background. That's actually kind of like part of my intro is because I when I first started covering the Karen Reed case, I got a couple of people reaching out and they were like, "Hey, you're not a lawyer. You're not a law enforcement officer. Like, what are you talking about?" And I just kind of rolled with it. And I'm like, "No, I'm not any of those things, but I am somebody who has an opinion and I want to have thoughtful discussions about these things." So, um if you're watching my content, it's not from a legal perspective, and I always like to point to the folks that I follow that I enjoy who do have that and can share that mindset as well too. But yeah, in terms of true crime, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just I'm so fascinated by how the human brain works and how we were just talking about depraved people, the most depraved people ever. Like, what makes somebody who is born, like, we're all born into the world the same way, essentially, right? So, what makes your life experiences and the way that you're brought up different from mine? And how does that lead you to make the certain choices that you do? Like, how do you just go so far down the road? And you end up committing some of the most heinous acts. It's just so fascinating to me that somebody can just do that.
Yeah, and it's striking when you because I do layman duty here in Denmark. That's our jury system. I've been doing that for 14 years, so I've seen my cases. I'm in court maybe have 10, 20 cases a year,
Wow.
and so you see all kinds. Most of it because I'm in the lower part where you can get. Normally, you don't go to us if you are supposed to get sentenced more than 4 years. Then you'll
Yeah.
bump it up. But you see a lot of violence. You see a lot of drugs. You see a lot of DV and stuff like that. And sometimes you just sit there and think, what? Why did you think? We had a guy who, uh, first of all, thank you, Kim. Yes,
Yeah,
Alexa
thank you,
is.
Kim.
It's so nice that people know people. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're having them on. They're so cool." And thank you, Scott, for 12 months. Dr. Russell is far more qualified. Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Um, oh, and you love Alexa. That's so
Oh,
nice.
thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's nice to hear people.
It
Yeah, I've
is.
been, especially if you don't do live streams, so you don't really have that one-on-one with the audience.
Yeah. I get honestly, like, I could just get terribly stage fright. Like, that's just always been my thing. But I wanted to challenge myself, and that's why when you asked, like, do you want it pre-recorded or live streamed, I was like, let's do live and let's see how this goes.
Yeah, and again, as long as you stay away from Zach, he has 45 different accounts with different names. That's the only one.
Thank you.
Um, Other than that, people are actually super nice and super
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
And when you mess up, like I have been doing the last couple of days, every time we sit back to court and I had called. I can mute when I share screens. I can mute it, so it
Yeah.
just I can hear if they come back in court, and I forget to put it on, and people start yelling at me, calling me a boomer. It's it's they are always nice to you. So
Yeah.
I always encourage, because stage fright, we all have it in the beginning, and some people
Yeah.
will never get over it. But
Yeah.
I found it easy. Actually, MLS was the first one who ever invited me on, and he regrets it to this day. He had to retire after. Um, but you sit there the first time and think, oh, when should I speak? Am I talking too much?
I know, and it is ironic because, and I've talked about this on my channel too. I used to be a dancer for 6 years, so and that's like the most vulnerable kind of job that you can really have. And you would think after doing that you wouldn't be stage fright, but I don't know. I think it's like when you're doing that, you're kind of a character. But then when you're on YouTube and when I'm talking to, people in real time about things that I think and I feel, it's like a totally different experience. But it's cool. I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, and actually, as you can see, you can pull up people like Valhalla.
Yeah.
Valhalla will now you have been on my show. He will be in your chat in whenever you go live next and beg for a wrench. He's the man who has
Awesome.
the world record in wrenches. He is a mod on every channel on YouTube. Actually, it is in the TOS. You must wrench Valhalla. He never uses it. He just collects them.
Got it. Got it. It's like a trophy, a prize to be won.
He, you come into some random Indian sleep streamer, and he'll be sitting there as the only one watching with a wrench, and
Right.
people are thinking,
It's like, who are you moderating? You're
yeah,
moderating yourself.
he's there. He will be every.
I like
It's
it.
a wonder, and he's the nicest guy. It's a
YouTube needs to like hand out awards for that because like you get the plaque if you hit 100K or something, right? But they
yeah.
need that for the moderators. I feel like they work really hard too.
Well, don't say that, because then my moderators will just ask for more pay. It's okay. I'll double the pay. Double of nothing is still nothing. Thank you, Gerda. Yeah, I like these creator streams. It's a big break, because normally we sit here and talk about, oh, and then she had her skull caved in, and oh my, and look at those
Right.
pictures.
And
And
this thing was on fire and that thing was on fire. Yeah, it is like very emotionally draining too after a while. And some of these cases are just so like dark and twisted and sad, and sometimes you just need to like talk about happiness and good things. Like right now I'm doing like my 90s TV show binges and like rewatches, and I'm like, oh, it'd be really fun to do a rewatch like podcast too. And I'm like, that would be so much fun, a nice little like compliment to all the dark, heavy stuff that I'm covering in the day to day.
yeah, Alexa did a great job with the lawyer guy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Andrew's awesome. I don't know if you saw any of his content. Andrew Myers, he's great.
No, I never. That's another name, and that's funny because I've been doing it for 2 years, but you just get in a bubble, and all these creators stay in and that's why I did this stream. I reached out to some names I knew, and then I always just sit and hit the live when
Yeah.
I get up in the morning or somewhere, and somewhere along your name popped up, and I thought, well, let's give it again. And you weren't. You didn't seem like a person who would sit and just yell. You must believe the same thing as me, and
No.
because some streamers do that, and you just and like you, I don't know if I've been watching a lot of like Tulsa King and the Mayor of Kingstown
Oh,
and all
that's
these
yeah,
shows.
that's great shows. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and I just sat and thought, oh, there's so much negativity on everyone who is talking about series and movies. It's always, well, Star Wars clearly sucks because
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
and I'm just sitting there thinking, have you never watched a good movie? And everyone
Yeah.
loves The Lord of the Rings, which is the worst movie series in history.
I you
So,
know, I kind of agree. I did read The Hobbit
oh,
when
that's
I
the
was
worst
a kid
book.
too.
You can
And
read
I
The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings books are good. The Hobbit is
Yeah,
a
The Hobbit
horrible
was a
piece of
hard
shit.
it was tough. I'm like, I don't and maybe because I was younger then, I was like, I think 14 or 15 when I read it. But I just enjoyed it. Was more of a Harry Potter person when I was growing up. But I kind of, even then, after a while, I kind of dropped off. Like when the books started getting thicker than the Bible, I was like, I can't. Like
Oh,
I'm totally checked out now. I can't do this.
and I'm just when a movie gets to be, oh, it's a special Universal director's cut with his grandma on commentary, and it's only 40 days long.
Yep. Yep. It's
I
like
do
every
8-hour
single
streams, and
Disney
I'm
movie
not as
ever.
long-winded as they are. What has been your favorite case you have covered?
That I've covered, I mean, I've mainly covered Karen Reed, but there are other cases that have piqued my interest a lot. The Adelson case has also really, really fascinated me. Not so much with, I guess, people on my channel. I guess they're not as invested in that case, but I just thought it was so fascinating because it took so many people, and it again, like, not to parallel it too much to the Karen Reed case, but people always say, how can you get all of these people to, conspire and keep everything a secret and do all of this? But then you look at the Adelson case, and that took a very small handful of people who had to keep quiet for many, many years, and they were able to successfully prosecute that case. I mean, I think Georgia Kappelman's one of the best prosecutors I've seen try a case, and every time I see her in court, I always just like feel kind of like a sense of relief, like, wow, like there is, there are good guys out there doing their job. So I don't know. I've always been fascinated by that case. I don't know if you've dug into it.
No, and everyone is always saying, "Oh, are you gonna do Lori
Oh,
Daybell?
Lori Vallow, yeah.
Yeah, are you gonna do that?" Said, "No." How about the Adels case? It's coming up. I don't know anything. Idaho Fall. Nope. I know great streamers you can watch, but I'm
Yeah.
just gonna pot around over here in my corner.
Well, I think, yeah, Jay Shetty, he's like all over the Adelson case.
Yeah, and again, I like these 1-2 week cases because Karen Reed was an anomaly that I stuck around for an 8-week case. I get bored just because I do
Yeah.
gavel to gavel, so 8 hours a day, just sitting here, and especially with Lally. What if any snow was on the ground?
How high were the tabletops?
Who, if
Exactly.
any, drove the ambulance? Someone
Yeah,
probably did.
right. Well,
But
I
they would
think
love to do a Gilmore
yeah.
Girl rewatch podcast with you.
Oh my god, so that is so funny. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't actually watched all of the Gilmore Girls, so I would want to. Well, I don't. It might be interesting to rewatch, but also like finish for the first time. So yeah, totally open to that.
Lord of the Rings aren't great movies. It's beautiful movies, but in reality, they should be over in one movie. They're just walking. Yeah, but you don't understand. No, I do understand. It's boring. Thank you, Gerda K, for gifting one membership to the Petty Paralegal, and Diane G for Sister Wives Unite. Oh yeah, I made a cult when we watched Professor Peapod. In Baker's
That
Cult,
is
it's
so
either
funny.
urine or you're out. Zach is known for his dad jokes as well.
Love it. I'm all about the dad jokes.
Well, don't say that. He will be in your comment. No, you're not live, so that'll be fine. But
Well, he's welcome to come in my comment section anytime with some dad jokes. I welcome them.
I warned you. I'm just saying. It's yeah. I caught up on my sleep when Lally spoke better than Ambien. I was actually so lucky that I was invited to a meetup in Tennessee, and Marissa, one of my mods, said, "Well, I can cover for you that week." So that I really needed that, and it was kind of in the middle of the case, so I could
Oh
go hang out.
wow.
And
Where in Tennessee? I'm from Nashville, so.
Knoxville.
Oh my god, yeah, so just a few hours. I was just in Knoxville the other day, actually.
Oh, yeah. Valhalla, you should have been a little more gracious and invited her for dinner and said hello. Valhalla is in Knoxville, so
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that was for my my day job. It was my first time. So, because me and my partner just moved here about half a year ago. So we're still kind of learning Tennessee, but it's so interesting living in Tennessee and growing up in New York because the laws and the people and the vibe, the energy, it's just totally different.
I didn't like New York. I went there with my girls, and it was too big, too many. But again, New York is 1.5 times bigger than Denmark,
Is that
population-wise.
like actually accurate? Like it's 1.5 times bigger?
Yeah, population-wise, I think we are close to 6 million people. I think New York is 8
Wow.
million.
Yeah, New York is just like, it's just become such a cesspool. It's so, and it's funny because every time I meet somebody here, they're always, "Oh, that's awesome." Yeah, definitely. I mean, Broadway's cool, but I don't go to Bayou Keys if you like dueling pianos. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, New York has just become. I don't. I'm going back home to visit for Christmas, and New York has just become like kind of like just an overpopulated cesspool. And I guess I always knew that growing up, but because I grew up on Long Island, and anytime I traveled into the city, it felt like I'm exploring the big times, and I wanted to be an actress at the time, and it just felt like this huge, big, amazing place. And now with everything, the crime has gone up. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't have the same heart and beat that I loved about it in my early 20s. And now I'm like, I definitely am not gonna hop in a subway.
No, and I think it's when you get a little bit older and stuff like that, you're also kinda yeah, I'd like it to be a little more quiet. I lived in Copenhagen, our capital,
Oh, cool.
when I was, around 20 years, 21 years old.
Yeah.
Just gotten out of the military, went home and, stayed home for like a year, and then I moved to Copenhagen like everyone where I live kinda does, to get into the big city, and
Is it
stayed
a
there
big
for
city? Like, how big is I've never traveled overseas, so I'm so curious.
well, it's not big in Europe, but, a fifth of the Danish population live in Copenhagen or around Copenhagen. So it's
Wow.
a 1.2 million people,
Wow. Okay.
but that's 40,000. We're getting close to 50,000 in my county now, so it's way different. But I just didn't like Copenhagen because it's the bigger the city, the further away people are from each other. It's so hard to
Yeah.
make friends. It's so hard to meet nice people because everyone just I'm gonna stick with the people I know. So I didn't like living in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
It's fine to go visit. I'm actually one of my subscribers is coming to Denmark next
Oh,
year, and I'm
cool.
gonna go meet up with her. And if anyone else from Scandinavia is coming, we can go
Oh my
watch
god,
some
that's
museums
awesome.
or drink a beer or something like that. But I don't like to go over there. But probably that's why I don't like New York either. I was visiting a friend in Delaware. I loved
Mhm.
Washington because it's big, wide, it's open,
Yeah.
and I had to cross Manhattan in a car. That was probably not a good idea.
And it's very anxiety inducing, like, if you're not it takes a certain kind of driver to drive in New York, or even, like, if you're not the driver, it just already you get flushed with anxiety. So it's definitely a specific skill set, and it takes a certain kind of person to be okay and comfortable in New York City traffic for sure.
Uh, I opened the sky roof so my kids could sit and watch because we don't have that tall buildings in Denmark, so they could sit and look at that. And when the police started driving almost on the curb to get past me, I thought, "F it, I'm gonna die in this car." So the next day we rode out to a mall out. Is it the Catskills or whatever the mountains are
Yep.
called?
Yep, yep.
Spent a day out there and then drove to the airport. I really didn't like New York. We went
Yeah.
saw Central Park, all of the stuff, and ended up at ground zero. And then I just let's go home and get some sleep because
Let's get out of here.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
I
too
Central
many.
Park is cool if you're into, like, I've been to a couple of Shakespeare in the parks, and that was really cool if you can win, like, the free lottery. I saw, oh my gosh, I saw King Lear with John Lithgow, he was great. And that was really awesome. But even like people don't realize like Central Park is ginormous. And when
Yeah.
this new case with the Luigi Mangione,
Yeah.
the Super Mario brother, he they were like, oh, he drove in or rode the city bike into Central Park, and I'm like, that is the most New York City thing that you could do. Like, take a city bike after fleeing the scene of a crime, ditch the bike, and then hide out in Central Park. But I'm like, Central Park is huge, so he could be
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, because when you hear park, you're thinking, oh, we have a park in my town. You can walk around it in 5 minutes. Nope.
No,
It's
you can get lost in Central Park. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like,
It's really we went there and to take some pictures and stuff like that, and
yeah,
you just have at the end there was just we need to take this, we need to, and I just wanted to go to Ground Zero because my daughter was
yeah.
born 3 days after 9/11.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah.
and I was in the military at the time, so I didn't see her that much in the beginning because we got a bit anxious back here in Denmark too.
Yeah, yeah, I remember I think I was in, like, preschool, and I remember not, like, to get sad or anything, but when I remember coming home and I went into my mom's bedroom. My dad worked in the city at the time, and he could see the Twin Towers from his building, and he saw, like, everything from his office window, and my mom was having a panic attack because she's
Yeah,
like, "When is he gonna be okay? Is he gonna come home? How is he going to get home?" And I saw her watching on the TV screen, and I could see everything. And it's an image, probably the only image I'll ever have from like being 4 or 5 years old, just
yeah.
always ingrained in my brain. And yeah, anytime I've been to Ground Zero or anytime I've just walked around that area, you definitely feel something.
Yeah, it's very very special because again, I came in, walked up the stairs, and asked my then wife, "What are you watching?" She said, "I think there's been an accident and second plane hit." So
Wow,
I just came home from work that day,
that's crazy.
and I'm saying, "I bet you I'm gonna get called back to the barracks." And 20 minutes later, they called, "Could you please come back to the barracks?" Because we didn't know, no one knew, and even
No.
us here. So it could be interesting. Diane G. In Baker's clan, we frolic, we meditate, we eat veggies, and best of all, we drink our urine. Just like good, good people who can't tolerate cheese Danish. Yes, I hate cheese Danish as well. Oh, and someone asked, "Do you follow the Lisk case?"
I do. I do a little bit, probably not as much as I should considering. But I have actually driven around the Gilgo Beach area, and I mean it's really beautiful there. But again, knowing what you know when you're driving around there, it's just you get that kind of eerie feeling. And I've been thinking about actually when that does go to trial, making a trip back and covering it a little bit more closely, just because um, my brother-in-law's mother actually went to high school with him, and when he got arrested, she sent him a picture of his yearbook photo, and she's like, "Hey, I went to school with him." Like, didn't even like I totally forgot about that. So that was pretty wild.
That's so crazy that the world isn't bigger than that. Can you explain the umbrella and the bat in the background? I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So the umbrella is from um uh, umbrella and bat are from music videos that I was shooting back when I was pursuing a career in music. Still kind of pursuing it. I've just taken kind of an extended break, but I was very into the Victorian era and style of fashion. So that was a piece that I had saved from one of the music video shoots that I had done.
That's it's so weird the people we get to know. The Alice Norke Cloud, the first one I had on, he's a stage actor and started
Oh,
doing
cool.
YouTube, doing the disease we can't mention by name on YouTube. Um, and then yeah, he wasn't big, but he'd been an actor and another weird thing, he fled the Russia when he was 4 years old, and
Wow.
it's just so weird the backstories on some of us. streamers that so weird that we're all ending up here doing this stuff. That we're not, oh, I'm a former cop or I'm a lawyer or it's just
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, and it is kind of validating too, because again, and I don't know if you felt this way when you started your channel, but sometimes when you talk about these cases and stuff, you feel like, well, what do I have to bring to the table? Because I'm not a legal commentator. I'm not a law enforcement or former law enforcement. I don't have somebody in my family who, I mean, my grandpa, but he's been deceased for a long time now, so I can't really like pick his brain about anything. So it sometimes you do get a little bit of that imposter syndrome, but then when you just start talking about it, we're essentially the people that could be members of a jury. So what we think and what we say and our thoughts and opinions and how we interpret the law is actually really important. And I've really learned that over the last several months since I started talking about these cases.
Yeah, and Jemima says being a lawyer is overrated. She's a lawyer.
Don't tell
Yeah.
my cousin that.
No, but again, that's one of the things when I watch other law tubers, which I'm not because I'm a lay tuber, I'm not a lawyer. When they sit there and say, well, you have to come to us for the legal perspective. Well, let me tell you something. After 13 years as a juror, the law doesn't matter. It's the jury that matters. You can have all the best legal arguments. And if just one guy is sitting up there and saying, he has a weird tie, you it's wasted because
Yeah.
humans are humans, and it's humans um, who get to make the final decision in the court system. So
Yeah, and I don't like how she looks. I don't like what she's wearing. I mean, again, not to bring it back to Karen Reed, but all of the commentary about um what she looks like, what she's wearing in court today. I'm like, why does any of that matter? Like it has nothing to do with anything. And maybe she's expressive sometimes, but I mean, can you blame her? Like when she's going through all of this and being wrongfully prosecuted, like how do you not show emotion? How do you not show expressions on your face? So, and I've had this conversation with a couple of lawyers as well too, is about making the law and just even the jury process and the trials as well too just easier for regular people to understand. When you start using certain terminology, certain language to explain certain things that are outdated or just don't make sense with how we've grown up, what we've learned, how we interpret the law, we don't have the extensive legal background that they do. So some things are going to go way over our heads. So how can we dumb it down to a point where we can have thought-provoking conversations and understand how to carry ourselves and conduct ourselves rightfully as jurors and do what we need to do as jurors?
yeah, and that's one of the things I think maybe because when I started, I watched Nick Recator back in the day with
Oh yeah. Yep.
Rittenhouse and all of that, and they were
Yep.
always, how do I get out of jury duty? You shouldn't get out of jury duty because you
No.
know something about the court system now. You should be the one sitting there and saying, do you know what reasonable doubt is? It's not he wore an ugly tie. It's they couldn't place him at the scene. They didn't find a weapon. They didn't find the body. They just believe. Um, we need people like that. We don't need the people who are too dumb to get out of jury duty or the people who really want to be on jury duty because they will be biased as heck or too stupid to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And they
No,
already
I totally agree too. And like you brought up a great point about reasonable doubt. It's like, what is the definition of reasonable doubt? Because you can look at even looking at some of these interviews with some of these jurors, post Karen Reed too, especially, is them not understanding what reasonable doubt means, right? So it's important to have that definition, have that understanding, mutual understanding across the board between all the jurors so that they can come to a mutual decision.
how it'll be radio theater. Silver Fox is from, I believe he's from Norway. Yes, you're from Norway, Silver Fox. And he says, I've been into crime since a young child, like 6-7 years old. I listen to crime like radio theater on the
Cool.
radio.
Yep.
But yeah, you'll call radio theater. So it's a weird way you get into it. In South Africa, they don't have any jury trials. I find it fascinating. Yeah, and that's the funny thing, that how different the court systems are as well, because
Yeah.
we don't have all these long. I hate opening and closing statements or arguments because we don't have them. Because why should I listen to how a lawyer interprets what's just happened? I'm the jury.
Yeah.
It's not your job. You can summarize the facts and say, well, I believe in Denmark we will get the charges. Let's just say in the Karen Reed case,
Right.
and you'll then the prosecutor will say on charge one. Well, they would just give us charge one because the other two are. But they would say, we believe that we proved she hit his car by the physical evidence at the scene and the injuries to his body. We believe
Right.
she was drunk because you could clearly see it in the video, and that they had been in an argument during the day. You could hear it in the text messages, and we believe that they got in a heated argument, which also is backed up by her messages on his phone later. These are the things that we believe will show that she is guilty. If you don't find her guilty of that, and then they will give us the lesser degree if it's allowed.
Wow.
But they won't be standing there and going through, and then the Aruba trip, and then and another thing, I hate Wadir. We don't have Wadir. If you come in a cop uniform, you're a cop. If you come in and say,
Wow.
I'm a
So that's interesting. Yeah, I want to know more about that. So like I guess like what is the pre-trial process in Denmark? Like do they have how do they I guess like how would the defense slash the prosecution or do you guys call it the prosecution or do you call it
well,
something else?
it's hard to translate. Uh, it's the accusing authority. Is
Okay.
direct translation.
Got it. So then, yeah. So do you like? I guess like yeah. I'd love to know more about the pretrial process and like what is expected to be handed over. How are like if I want to call any witness as an expert, I can just do that. I don't need to go through any kind of pre-qualification or anything like that with the court.
No. If you call a doctor, it's because you call a doctor.
Wow, it's so
We,
simple.
we don't normally see a lot of expert. If there's medical evidence or if there's DNA, yeah, we'll do. I had a. I can't talk about that one. It's because it'll still be appealed. I had one last Wednesday. Let me go back to I had a murder case.
Mhm.
Young girl, I believe 22, 24 years old. Her boyfriend knocks on the neighbor's door and said, "You better go in and check. Something bad happened." And then he goes outside and is apprehended by police, actually for peeing on the street. They didn't know the neighbor hadn't called them yet, and is then taken away. Then then the state builds the case against him, and of course turns everything over to the defense, just like you'll do. Everything will be collected in one file by the prosecutor, and they'll turn it over to the defense.
Got it.
They have to get everything. I actually think that if the defense wants them to do to look at something, they have to do it as well. I'm not 100% because we don't have these pre-trial hearings and years
Wow.
and years of it just goes way more smooth. But this guy, we had in Denmark, we always start with the accused testimony. And
Interesting. So do they always the person who's being accused, they always testify or
no,
no, they don't
you
have to?
choose if you want to do it. And
Okay.
as another different from American law, in Denmark, it's not illegal to lie as an accused
Wow.
because we know everyone who testifies and is found guilty actually should be hit with perjury because that
Yeah.
means they weren't trustworthy. But you don't do that. But in Denmark, you are the only one who has the right to lie about everything. And believe me, some do a lot.
That's so fascinating.
Oh, no, the Council of Criminal Doctors is people who will, if you have something where you believe that someone might be insane, they will they will uh, they will look at the case and then give a recommendation for the punishment, if they can have a normal punishment, if they need some kind of psychiatric treatment, or there's no treatment if they are so psychotic, or if they are so stupid they can't be tried.
Oh,
But that's Retslægerådet, or the Council of Criminal Doctors. But to be in the murder case, because then we called in the police who apprehended him after his testimony, and he had a
right.
story about, well, she did like women always do. She started to nag, so he just flipped her one, and then he can't remember anything. Then we had the neighbor come in, testify, said, well, he was knocking on the door. I went in and there was blood everywhere. And I tried to do CPR. And then the emergency room doctor came in. He was crying. She was that badly beaten. Then we had the guy who did the autopsy come in, tell us what happened. And that was the expert we had in that case. And
Wow.
we don't have hours and hours and a lead detective and all of that.
Yeah.
It's the prosecutor who just
Yeah.
puts the case on and say, are you the one who we had a drug sting? Then you call in the lead detective on and said, yes, we set up our camera. This is the known drug hideout in my city. Everyone knows that you can buy drugs there. And we apprehended him there and there. And you can see it on this video, and you can see it on this video. This is clear indication of narcotics. And
Wow.
you don't have someone coming in and testifying that the camera is this and this model and the light.
Or the Sally Port video is inverted or not.
None of that. It's
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
are a high trust society. So
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's interesting because I was gonna ask you too is, do you think that the way that the jury system or the judicial system in Denmark is more effective than what you've at least seen in the trials you covered here in the US?
Given that we do 4 years at a time, we get elected to do it. We sign up, and then you're approved. You're put into a lottery. If your name is drawn, you do it for 4 years. So and the standard is 4 cases a year. So
Oh, wow.
after one term, you will have had 16, 20 cases. So the first time you go in there, you're just, what's going
Yeah.
on? Probably like
Yeah.
yours. Now, when I go in there, I feel I know what to look for, what to listen to. I take tons of notes, even in ridiculous nonsense cases. Other people never take one, and you do it differently. But I feel because we have the routine,
Yeah, the
and
practice. Yeah.
yeah, you don't get blown over by, oh, so much information overload. And I think that was actually what Lally did in the Karen Reed case.
Yeah.
You just put in. I always used to do this and say, a lot of American lawyers, when they don't have a case, they do this. Look at all the evidence, and then people
Yep.
say, yeah, there was a lot of evidence. They must be guilty.
Yep.
But
Yep.
just blank paper. There's nothing on it.
Yep. Yep.
So, and so I think it's better in that way. We are
Yeah.
paid better. I find it hilarious that some places still pay $5 to $8.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely insane, and you think about I mean, again, if you're serving on a case like the Karen Reed case where it's gonna be 10 weeks and you didn't know and you had no choice, it's your civic duty. And then it's like, okay, well, how am I going to call out of work for 10 weeks? Like, how am I supposed to use all my vacation time? And I'm not even getting compensated enough to make up for all of those lost days. It's definitely broken in that regard. And I think also, too, just like going back to our conversation about understanding the law and developing more, knowledgeable jurors, having a system similar to what you were just describing in Denmark, I feel like would be really optimal in the US, in the States, or even just educating younger people in high school and college and, baking that into, no pun intended, baking that into our education system as well too, as something that you have to learn. You have to take criminal law. You have to understand how the law works, because you don't know when you're going to be put in these situations.
Well, we have no education. We are not told anything about how the law works. The only thing, when you sign up to be this, you sign a piece of paper saying, I will listen carefully, I will
Mhm.
I will follow the law. That's actually the only two oh, and I will say if I know someone that might be in a conflict of interest. I have no legal background. I have not have a course. I don't nothing. What we do when we have had the case, when we come up there, we go into a deliberation room. We sit the judge and two laymen. Then the judge, we're given a piece of paper with the charges, and it says it's 245. That's excessive violence. That's 245. 244 is normal violence. 119 is threatening a public worker. You know, the ones you always get. And then they will say, have you read the charging document? Yes. Have you seen the witnesses? Yes. Do you know any of the people? No. Okay, let's do it.
Wow.
That's the preparation we have when we go into the courtroom.
Wow.
Then we listen to all the evidence. Then we come back out, and then we sit down, and the judge say, okay, first of all, is he guilty? Charge one, excessive violence. And we will sit there, and I have a vote, the judge have a vote, the layman to my side has a vote. We can have a split decision. It's a democracy.
Okay.
We can vote the judge down. I've been in cases where the judge said, okay, I'll go with you, even though I might think, because split decision is stupid, especially if it's a little thing that you think is wrong. But we can
Yeah.
vote him down. The two
Wow.
laymen can say, well, we don't feel it that way, and then we'll sit there and say, okay, yeah, we found that he punched him 2 times in the head and he kicked him once in the head when he was down. That's excessive violence. And then we'll go into, and both the prosecutor and the defense will have told us before we go back and say, we believe it should be 60 days in prison, and the defense will say 40 days, but suspended. And then we go back and say, the guideline says 50 days. So it's normally one side always shoots high and the other one shoots low. And what do we think? And we'll say, well, this guy had never been in trouble before. Maybe we could give him of course he needs to get a punishment, but we can give him a suspended sentence. Or
Wow.
And then we do the verdict and the sentencing in the same go.
Wow, that is so fascinating. It's so streamlined.
Yeah, but I had a money laundering case. I don't know anything about that law because I never had money laundering. They'll read to me, what does it take to read the money laundering? I don't get 45 hours of jury instructions.
Wow.
They'll sit me down and say, money laundering is this paragraph in the law.
Wow.
Did this person willingly, or should he have known the money he received was ill-gotten gains, and did he facilitate it to someone else? Yes or no? And then you go through it. So we get we get the law text. We don't get 40 hours of. And if you find that this person might or might not, could have been, or on a Wednesday should have been, because it's just lawyers who wrote a long piece of paper that's not necessary. So we get it in a totally different way. Thank you, Valhalla. I hope you sub to me as well.
Thank you.
I think the problem with Danish professional jurors is they come from a narrow set of society, low-level politicians. However, they have actually been reaching out to a broader set. Actually wrong. It used to be people who had party connections back in the day, but because the political parties are so small now, everyone can apply.
Wow.
And actually, when I started, it was a lot of roughly 55 to 70-year-old people. I was a young man back then when I started. I started in my 20s, and now I'm the middle-aged one. But I've been with a lot of young women, especially they've been reaching out to that minorities and stuff like that. They have really tried to blend us in together, so you don't just get middle-aged white guys, elderly ladies or something. And I met all kinds of people, and some of them
Yeah.
you just want to beat in the jury room, and other ones you find we work.
Yeah, I imagine. I imagine there's probably a lot of strong personalities, depending on the case.
We had a lady who wouldn't give she wouldn't find a guy guilty because he was a drug addict, and she used to have a boyfriend who was a drug addict, so they didn't know what they did, so he shouldn't be punished. That's not the law.
Yeah,
The
no.
law, it's so stupid. But again,
Yeah.
that's the problem, and we had to sit and
Yeah.
discuss and say
Yeah.
you had to rule by the law. You can have
Yes.
I could have I just had a guy from Somalia, or
Mhm.
Somali, I don't. And we found him guilty, and I could have that thought that, well, everyone who's guilty should be thrown out of the country, but I can't do that because there are laws that says you have to go beyond this and beyond that, and
Right.
the prosecution have to ask if we want to consider sending them out. So you can't sit in there and just say, well, a million years. There will be guidelines that you need.
Yeah, yeah, you don't get to just decide.
Any bribery problems with jurors? No, no one knows who you are. And the lawyers, well, all the lawyers know who you are because,
Mhm.
because I'm there so much. Sometimes you have like 8 weeks with one, and you start to say hi to them in the gym and stuff like that. But there's no incentive for me to take a bribe. It would be so stupid because they don't know who is on the case until I'm there. And the level I'm on, it's normally 1 day, maybe half a day. I'm in court.
Oh,
So
wow. And then you get to go home and you're done and over with it?
I've some cases I've come up there, sat down, said, "Well, the accused is not here today. I get a full day's pay, and I could just go home. I get a
Not too
hundred bucks.
shabby, yeah.
I get $100 for a day in trial, and no matter if I'm
Wow.
there for a minute or I'm there for a day.
Oh my god, $100?
Yeah, after taxes. Yeah,
What? What?
yeah, but that's because ours is seen as it's a public duty when you signed up for the. So if you're working for the city, for instance, the city will give you pay that day. But if
Right.
you're working in a bakery like I used to do, the
Yeah.
bakery must give you the day off.
Yeah, yeah,
So to compensate my pay,
yeah.
I'm paid that well.
Well, it's so funny because, like, we position it like, "Oh, it's your civic duty," but then why aren't we getting compensated for it?
Yeah. Well, I talked to Betterow about that, and he
Yeah.
thinks that, well, then it could be be something people want to do because, oh, there's a fat
Yeah,
paycheck
there's
in it.
yeah, cash grab behind and I could definitely see that too. I think, yeah, there's just some things that we need to definitely work out within.
Barnacle Bob, we didn't, and we have already been going for an hour. It's time flies when you're having fun. What's
Yeah.
the reason behind the name?
The reason behind the name is when I was uh, dancing and pursuing my music career, my stage name was Alexis, and I don't know why I just picked the name, and I always kind of stuck with me. And I was writing an album, and the title of the album was going to be Alexasrewm. So hopefully one day I release the album. I'm hoping to work on that in 2025.
That's why everyone should go over and sub. Are you monetized?
I am, yeah.
Go over, sub, and maybe if you can help her out, she can buy some free time to make that album, and then you can listen to it on Spotify and make it number one on Spotify.
That would be pretty sick. That would be pretty cool. I actually just got in touch with my old producer in New York, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if he still has the old tracks I was working on." He does. So I am actually working on my own intro song for my show, which I'm going to use some of my old songs for. So definitely keep on the lookout for that, especially if you like electronic pop music, like industrial stuff.
I'm an Aqua fan. I do a mean rendition of Barbie Girl.
I would love to hear that.
Well, oh, where is it?
Welcome to the Broken Baker, where crimes are baked in every show. Mysteries rise and truth unfolding. Ready, set, it's time to go!
I did hear Aqua on the radio the other day, and I was just, it makes me think of you, Baker.
Yeah, because I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me anywhere. Imagination, life is your creation. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Yeah. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Ooh, whoa, ooh, whoa. I'm a blonde bimbo girl in a fantasy world. Touch me here, touch me there, hanky panky. Come
Oh,
jump
Lord.
in, bimbo friend, let us do it again. Hit the town, fool around, let's go party. You can
know.
touch, you can play. If you say I'm only yours, you can touch,
I don't
you
think
can
he's okay,
play.
guys.
That's as much as I remember.
I'm like crying over here. That was so good. I would love to
Well,
feature you on my album.
yeah, I can do backing tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you can do some of the lower harmonies because I'm more of a soprano. So yeah, I think that'll work.
When I was in the Navy, I spent my time playing in the Navy band, and we had to sing sometimes. And our conductor, he was everyone had to go in and do the ha 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 to figure out if we were high or low.
Yeah.
And I was a soprano. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
You know,
Yeah.
I think you're probably more of like a baritone, maybe a bass. Yeah, I would say so. I
Yeah.
feel like you could have a nice falsetto though. So I definitely like the warmth in those lower notes with the "Come on, Barbie, let's go party." That was solid.
Well, Hella, you are just jealous that someone liked my singing. No, it's he was a weird guy, and I don't know if he used to be the conductor of a boy band, boy choir.
Okay.
So everything we should sing was just way up there. And we were 18 to 22-year-old men, and he wanted
You're
us
like, we've
to.
been past our puberty. Like we've already gone through that.
Yeah, it was. Christmas carols were so high pitched. You were just standing there thinking, "This can't be right."
Oh yeah.
Glädje jul, dejliga jul. That's so wrong.
Yeah,
But he,
I remember in high school we had to do it was always a big deal to do the Hallelujah chorus and just all the male singers doing some of the higher parts too. It was always a fun time.
he actually, when he conducted us, it's a brass band that we have in the Navy. He had earplugs in, and then he had the cups over because he had tinnitus. So
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
yeah, so he hear everything. Yeah, 18 to 20 years with 2-year-olds with all with hangovers. Yeah, that was back in the day when we could drink in the barracks. We were the only. I think we were the only land-based unit with a bar.
Wow.
Officially, because we had our own bar in the base. We did a tour or 9 months on just in the middle of effing nowhere. So and we didn't get paid that well. So we
at the very
stayed
least
there.
you could get a drink. Yeah.
Yeah,
You had a man cave.
we did have a lot. It's all his mic setting. He sounds like Matt Glovin in real life. Well, Hala, you liked it when I said, "Morning, honey." It's no. I will never stop about talking about this. No, don't you know men who's been in the service will always be in the service. We will always sit and say, "Oh, yeah, Those guys today, back when I was in the army,
Yeah, back that one time in band camp.
yeah, it's something like that. Take some helium, you'll be fine. No, it's yeah. Jamie's dog doesn't like me.
Oh no.
No, the Navy band was land based. We do have sailing units. We had some sailing units that are supposed to defend Greenland. We forgot to put weapons on them. It's a minor detail.
Yeah, you would think that's kind of important.
Well, it's Danish politics.
Yeah.
Actually, the rumor is, Mass, back in the day, you could order a field brothel. Everyone who's ever worked in the logistics have tried to find that number, but back in the day, there was a rumor that you could a special number. They actually had a setup for a field brothel because just to keep the soldiers healthy, because young men in war kind of do stupid stuff. So,
Wait. So like Uber Eats, but for brothels? Like,
yeah, we will
hey.
bring our own entertainment if we went to war. It's we don't know if it's one of those stories that just get told, or it's might have been back in the day when it's probably sometimes from Korea or something like that
Right.
when people started maybe being a lot of time spent in the First and the Second World Kerfuffle where soldiers might have been on a little bit of penicillin because the local ladies earned a little extra money.
Yeah.
Hello. Industrial electronic pop artist who inspired you.
So ironically, my favorite artist is Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. So a lot of my songwriting style came from Stevie Nicks, but in terms of like the music, Nine Inch Nails is like a huge influence.
It's funny to meet new people and learn stuff like that. It's Alexas is hosting a good interview. I'm
Thank you.
sorry, Kirsty. I'll talk less. No, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, and you probably have
I find it
life.
interesting just learning like how other countries' judicial systems work and how the law works. So I was definitely curious about that.
Yeah, it's very different, but it's also funny to. A lot of things are the same. We also have some prosecutors where you just think, shut up.
Shut up already. Did they televise any of the trials? Wow.
You can't audio record. You can. I had one of the cases I started doing in English. I did like you did. I tried to do videos about it, but because I could only use news clips, the transcriptions from the papers, it just doesn't work because you sit there and say, well, and then she was picked up at 6 a.m. outside of this store, and you tried to find it on Google Street View, and then they drove here, and then he claimed that she wanted to give him a mouth hug as a thank you for the trip, and then she wanted to have a little smacks, fell over and broke her neck, and he had to chop her up in 37 pieces, as you do.
Somehow that's not as compelling when you hear it in court. Yeah.
Do you play the guitar?
I do not. I kind of sort of play the keyboard though. Whoop, that's my phone. Sorry.
That's fine. I said an hour and we've been going over, so I think
all good there.
I never had a rat tail. I did have around 2000 what do you call it?
You had a mullet?
No, I had the boy band.
The boy band look.
Yeah, I did have that.
Wait, did you have frosted tips?
No, I was way more blonde, but I'm natural blonde, so.
Okay, so you didn't need the frosted tips. You already were naturally frosted.
I took that picture off. I had one and when I was deployed, I had my hair with so much gel in it, just something like that, and it got real blonde. I looked like I was trying to be a Justin Timberlake lookalike.
I was gonna say, wait, so was your hair doesn't look curly now, but did you have curly hair at one point?
No, I have the straightest, flattest hair in the world. I'm 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 as Scandinavian as you can be, so my hair just gets flat and
Flatter and
long.
flatter and flat. That's like my hair too. I have to like put it in a bun or something or curl it to get a little bit of volume.
Yeah, but we're all different, and you can just put something in it. Hey, Ralphie, this is fun. Yeah, it's fun meeting new people.
Yeah.
I wrote a few songs. It's hard to stay creative. Respect the process, though. Now, yeah, it's you don't have to bring that up.
Oh. Were you now? I'm learning so much about you from your viewers.
Yeah, I have a tendency to overshare, so they know more about me than anyone near me does.
See,
But
that's where I sometimes I'm like, oh, like, should I talk about this? I don't know, because then you get some people in the comments who are like, I don't care, like you're just going on and on about this thing, and I'm like, I'm trying to like draw from like my experiences and tie it to this thing. So
it's a hard, especially in the beginning where you're just sitting here thinking, oh, everything's great. And then all of a sudden, you get that DM from someone who said, "Oh, you look so nice at Walmart today." What? How do what?
yeah, and then they send you a picture like, hey, and they're like, selfie,
Yeah,
you
what?
in the background.
Yeah, that's when I'm harassing recovery addict tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Ooh.
East Side Posse. That was actually East End Posse was what we called ourselves.
That
And
was
we did it.
your gang?
Yeah, and because we went on our school was called Eastern School, and
Okay.
then we were back. We will listen to gangster rap and wore baggy clothes. We were tough, and
I have to see a picture of this. I definitely
no
do.
pictures exist.
What?
Luckily enough,
Is
I
it
don't.
because you destroyed all of them, or
No,
I don't believe anything has.
I hate taking pictures. I can't do a selfie. I don't. Weird enough because I'm on the screen 8 hours a day, but I hate being on screen. So,
That's fair.
but no, luckily enough, it was back when you had Polaroid. So
Oh, so you could physically destroy the evidence.
so no, they got lost a long time ago. There might be one picture of me in that close in a local paper because they interviewed us once, and we were sitting. We had a drinking fountain in the middle of the school, red yard, and we were sitting there. It was so tough. We were probably
The Brat
been
Pack.
in
Yeah.
8th grade or something like that, and sitting there with our Run DMC shirts and being, yeah,
Well,
we
you're
want
lucky
more.
because, yeah, when I grew up, everything was like Facebook and Instagram. So all of my embarrassing photos, I'm sure at some point, are going to be leaked everywhere, and I'm just going to have to accept it, and it's fine.
Yeah, and that's what actually one the chats I had with my daughters when they began to be at that age, saying, "Don't thank you, Mac, for being a member of a foreman. Don't don't overshare on those because
Yeah.
people can find you really easy if you take a picture near something. So easy to find you."
Yeah, and it's also scary too, like when people pin their locations, and yeah, I'm just overly cautious about stuff. But I'm also not a big picture taker now either, so
Did you ever see the Maggie Rogers Pharrell vid on NYU?
no, I have not. Feel free to email it to me. It's just it's Alexa's roommate with one M at gmail.com.
I don't talk to any of my old school friends, sadly enough. Actually, one of my old gang members' parents lived 2 houses over.
And you don't
Yeah,
talk to them?
well, the parents, yeah. No, I don't. No, I when I deployed, I was so smart. I met a woman, made her pregnant in 14 days. So I moved to a different part of the country for a couple of years while we were married. So you lost contact back then, and I was in the military, was deployed, and
Yeah.
didn't spend much time back home. Yeah, and Eston Posse was our name because we made a big wall piece and the guy who was supposed to write the name forgot the A in East End. So we were East End Posse.
Estent, I loved it. That's
We
awesome.
didn't. I am sure. She called me old. I am old, Valhalla. I am a granddad, so I am very old. Pernilla was so easy. Don't say that, Pernilla. Hey, Rolling. Fascinating life. Yeah, well, if you stay, have enough mornings, you'll have enough interesting nights.
Yeah, that is very true.
We had multi-finger rings and all.
Repping the EEP, I love it. You do. You need to bring that back. You could sell like posters and like autographs.
Yeah, with me sitting over there doing all our hand signs and.
Oh yeah.
We were such a. We just had the same. It's not a beanie, but it was actually just a sleeve cut up, and then you tied a little bit of string about it, and oh, it was so cool. And it was mustard yellow because everyone else was red and blue, and no, we don't want to do that because they're just copying the Crips and the Blood. So we're gonna do our own thing.
We're gonna do mustard yellow. Oh God.
Yeah, it was a cool time. It was so stupid.
Fine. No, that's fine. I used to wear leg warmers to school, even though I went to high school in the 2000s. So
I remember when it was a thing the first time, and moon boots and.
Yeah, I was always a weirdo. Yep. Oh my God, tie-dye. Yeah.
That's we have like something where you can online can put up your wish list, and I always put up some gag thing that I hope no one gets. And then my brother called me and said, "Hey, that sweatshirt from Adidas you wanted, what size do you want it in?" I said, "What?" Forgot to put it up. It was a tie-dyed yellow sweatshirt. It was so ugly, and I was just, "Do you know it was a joke?" So I might get that for Christmas.
Well, if you do, you need to take a picture.
Well, I will be wearing it on screen because I'm not afraid of being ugly on stream.
Well, somebody's going to screen grab that.
Well, I know they will. Judy Best Theory, thank you so much. Alexa is the best. Yes, she is a wonderful guest, and it's so nice to get to meet a new people, and especially because you never live stream. You are doing great. You don't
Thank
feel
you. I appreciate that.
Anyway, like you're too stage fright. I know it. The light on the camera is the worst light you can see.
Yeah, it is, and too, because I'm kind of like blind, so sometimes like I'm really close to the camera because I'm trying to read something, but then I have to zoom in like 1,000,000%. But then I have to zoom out a little bit because sometimes it's too big. So it's a constant battle. But as I upgrade my equipment, I'm hoping to get a little bit better with my production.
Yeah, it's the constant thing. You start out and everything is actually fine with a 27-inch old screen and a kind of light in a corner, and yeah, it'll work. And all of a sudden you have indirect light and light rings and 3 screens, and you have to have this one be a higher resolution so you can run 2 screens at it at the same time to keep a track on it.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
I don't know if we should end why you end up in Tennessee. That's a personal thing. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
No, I don't mind. I always loved Tennessee. I've been here a ton, like 5 times. And mainly like my music was the thing that kind of drew me in. New York and LA are huge for acting, and when I wanted to get into music, Nashville is the place for music. So,
but I've kept you way longer than I said I would. It's already been 1 hour and 24 minutes. Normally, I'll give you time to plug yourself. Oh, Food Fairy, thank you for being a member for 10 months. Broken Baker, hottest gilf I've alive. Thank you, FD Food Fairy. And see what I'm wearing today? She gave me this t-shirt.
Oh,
she's a sweetheart.
That is so sweet. Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Very good, calm, great speaker, easily be live streamer.
Oh, thank you. I
You,
appreciate that.
you just need a well insulated butt and
Yes.
a lot of patience.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
His son is an hour and a half from Nashville. I've been to Memphis. That's the closest I've been, I think.
Memphis is great too. I haven't been yet, but my parents loved it when they traveled. So I definitely want to go travel in the Great Smokies.
Yeah, I was in Illinois in the 90s, and the people I stayed with, the dad said, "Oh, we're driving down to Memphis." I was there for 2 weeks to visit my sister who went to school
Mhm.
over there, and we went down, saw Graceland because I'm a big Elvis fan. So
Yeah.
that was so cool that he just said, "I'm taking him down to see it." So me and my sister got to see Graceland. That was
That is
wonderful.
so cool. Did you ever go to Dollywood? I haven't been to Dollywood.
Yes, I've been. That's what we did on the meetup tour in Tennessee.
That is so cool. Well, yeah, if you ever come back to Tennessee, or if I ever go out to Denmark,
Yeah, well, I'll buy you a beer. It's
it's all a girl can ask for.
exactly. Baker thinks Florida's full of alligators. He's scared. I don't think it's full of alligators. There's snakes too, and Florida people.
And Florida, that is a fair comment. I've been to Florida a handful of times, and it's an acquired taste. Not everybody likes Florida.
I've said I'd never go there. That Arizona, because Arizona doesn't exist, and Australia, which also doesn't
What?
exist.
You don't want to go to Australia?
I can. No, it's in a dome in Ohio. Imagine living in a country where everything tries to kill you, and you talk with
But
a
it's a
weird accent.
country and a continent. It's the 2-in-1. It's the only one.
I've never met anyone from Australia. I am pretty sure that it's in a dome in Ohio. Arizona is a made-up place that people try to say, well, it's a dry heat, and you think, what? That's
Yeah, and it's just dry and there's lizards and yeah, I no offense if anybody is in the chat from Arizona. I just don't have
we
the
have a few
desire.
people. I had one who actually thought I meant Arizona didn't exist. Laura Riker, I believe it was you. That's fine. It's no, it's I don't know why the Australia is. I probably the expert thing. We got down that rabbit hole, but it's the same. Birds aren't real, so you don't hang out with us. We are weird people, but we're fun people.
Oh no, I love weird people. I find myself more comfortable around weird people.
Yeah, Valhalla spent a few days in the desert, courtesy of your military. He used to be in the Navy as well. I don't know why he was in the desert,
Oh,
but
wow.
he's a fake Navy vet. So yeah, that's another joke. He used to be
I
in the
am
army.
weird. That's
So,
okay. I used to feel that way about Long Island too. I'm like, we're not a state, we're just an extension of New York. Like, what are we doing here?
yeah, in Australia, you wake up, put on your shoes, and get killed by a snake or a spider. Well, I'm going to give you the chance to plug yourself before we end the show. It's I've taken way too much of your time.
Oh no, it's all good. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. You can go check me out. It's Alexasrewm, just spelled like in my little name toggle down here. I post videos at least 2 times a week, sometimes more. So if you like all things true crime and just having more meaningful discussions like this, I would love to continue those discussions with you. And you can find me on Twitter too. It's the same thing. So
Ohio is a dome to Bacon. No, Ohio isn't a dome. Australia is in a dome in Ohio.
in Ohio, yeah.
So it's just a big conspiracy. This is the link. Please go sub to her and follow some of her wonderful videos. It's filled with humor. It's filled with a lot of good takes on, especially the Karen Reed cases, what I've watched most of your stuff. And thank you so very, very, very much for being one of my 12 creators for Christmas. I'm actually thinking I'm close to 14 creators now, which is wonderful.
That's amazing.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m., which is way too close now, I will be having Recovery Addict on for another one of these creator streams. So I hope you will join us there. Tonight at 9 p.m. I will be over on, well, probably not at 9 p.m., but the expert will start his Friday Night Live. Tonight, Mo is a guest, and you know you can't miss a Mo stream. So please, I'm going to send you over to the expert stream. So give it a little notification, Pooh, so you get to see it tonight. Thank you, Amy Freedom Love. Nice to meet you, Alexa. Thanks for hanging with the crazy bunch over here.
Thank you, guys.
Ralphie raises asses. She shaved it once. Don't think about it. Sub to Alexa months ago. Love her. I understand why timely manner. Mo and the expert. Yes, nothing will make sense, but it'll be fun. So everyone, thanks Baker for having Peeps on, introducing us to those we not have known about before today. Sherry D, it's my pleasure. Everyone else, have a wonderful evening, and hopefully you'll be back tomorrow, or I'll catch you if I can get out of bed in 4.5 hours to my normal join time on the Experts channel. And I have an outro somewhere there.
What
Bye.
Exhibit are you referring to? I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor. All right. 100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, I'm in love.
Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't have cared.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.
So there-
Everybody has.